There was a time, so many years ago now, when it felt like we had too much Metroid. The simultaneous launch of Prime and Fusion in 2002, followed up with another 1-2 volley of Metroids 2 years later. Slow down. We cried. We can't keep up with all this Metroid. Time makes fools of us all. Since 2010's Metroid, other M on Wii, which, cards on the table, I enjoyed, we've had not a peep from the galaxy's foremost non-linear backtracker Samus Aran. Last year's team-based shooter Federation Force was fun, but it was as much a Metroid game as Metroid Prime Pinball was. We're nearing the end of a 7-year Metroid drought. Enter Metroid, Samus Returns. A game with far too much weight on its spherical shoulder pads. To be released September 15th, it's a 3DS remake of 1992's Metroid 2, Return of Samus for the black and white Game Boy. It's not fair that a do-over of a 25-year-old game on 6-year-old hardware should bear the burden of being the official return of Metroid, but, well, whose fault is that? I was playing Samus Returns during my trip to PAX West earlier this month, and when people found out, I kept getting the same question, is it legit? Nobody wanted to ask about any specific details of what was inside the game. Their worries were far more fundamental and existential. Did development studio Mercury Steam, best known for making bad Castlevania games, get it right this time? Is this really a Metroid? Yes, Samus Returns is legit. Yes, it's really a Metroid. The controls are precise, the music is lovely, the caverns are dense and full of secrets to discover, and everything gels well together into an experience that is unmistakably Metroid. It doesn't take many risks, and doesn't do a whole lot to push the series forward, but to be fair, that's not what the series needed in 2017. Viewed in the context of the entire series, Metroid 2 is the weird one. Following the events of the first game, Samus is dispatched to SR-388, home planet of the Metroid race, to do some good old-fashioned genocide and eliminate the entire species. 39 Metroids are somewhere on the planet, and you have to root them out and fill them up with missiles until they explode. Rather than the usual formula of Samus gaining new abilities that let her explore more and more of a given planet, the world opened up in a less natural way. Clearing all of the Metroids out of an area would cause a pool of lava to drain, giving you access to a deeper section of the planet. Samus Returns does not depart from this general concept, although it tweaks the particulars. Rather than unexplained lava draining earthquakes that are somehow connected to Metroid mortality rates, each section of the planet has a massive statue presumably built by the ancient Chozo birdfolk that requires you to fill it with Metroid DNA before it drains its pool of damaging purple fluid. This is no less explicable from a plot standpoint. Who would build something like this? But at least makes it crystal clear to the player what they need to be doing. Apart from many small tweaks such as this, Samus Returns is a pretty straightforward remake and takes no weird swerves, except for one. And it's a doozy. Samus, in addition to her many types of guns, can now perform a melee attack. This can be used at any time to knock back an enemy. But enemies no longer just lazily fly back and forth or creep up the sides of walls. Most enemies, when they see Samus, will rear up and charge at her. If you use the melee attack at just the right time, just after you see a very clear flash, you'll break the enemy's charge and send them reeling and stunned. And right at this moment, if you start firing your cannon, Samus will automatically point at the enemy, and the bullets will do much more damage, eliminating an enemy in a single shot or two that ordinarily would have soaked up 10 or more hits. I want to be clear, this sequence of moves is, speaking generally, not optional. If you try to play this like a normal Metroid, if you ever say, well, I'll just try to run through this part and strafe and dodge rather than individually taking on each enemy, you will die. Or you'll knock off half your health, then stumble into a Metroid battle at a significant disadvantage. Samus has 360-degree aiming in this game while standing still, which is useful, but if you try to take out an enemy by standing still and firing, it will charge you and do big damage before it dies. And its friends will be right behind. So you've got to take the corridors of SR-388 slowly, separating enemies from each other, waiting for their attacks, parrying them, dispatching them one at a time, learning all the precise timing. In this way, you could say it's like the Dark Souls of Met. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I have committed a crime against game reviews and I don't even play Dark Souls. Suffice it to say that I really enjoy this gameplay twist. It's satisfying to perfectly bat an enemy away, then put 2 in its head.